Thank you. Please stand. Instead of a prayer today, I'm going to do a brief moment of silence for our fallen District Fire Chief, Dwayne Bradshaw. If you will join me for a moment of silence. Dear Lord, thank you for our emergency fire and rescue community. Please keep them all safe during their service to others. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. We come to the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion, Ms. Campbell?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additions? If not, please vote on the agenda as presented. And it passes 4-0. The next item is open forum. Is there anyone who wishes to address us in open forum? Seeing none, we will close the open forum. The approval of the minutes. You have them on page, no, you don't have any. Sorry, never mind. Sorry. The next item is consideration of contract for interim executive director, and we'll ask Mr. Beasley to outline what this looks like.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I met with, per the instruction of the board, I met with Mr. Johnson on 2 occasions, had a very streamlined, easy negotiation process. We used as our starting point the newly approved executive director contract that we formed to offer to the previous candidate who had been selected, which, as you probably realized, was a updated version of the existing executive director contract with Mr. Sorrell. So we basically used Mr. Sorrell's contract, updated it, and then I revised for Mr. Johnson. The negotiation, as I said, was very easy and simple. We have, before you have a contract that is a 6-month term, November 13, 2019 through May 13, 2020. The reason it is that for that term is because the code provides that you shall replace the executive director position within 6 months from the vacancy. As we talked about in the previous meeting, a fair read on the term vacancy, although not defined, would be when Mr. Sorrell actually steps down, which would be the 15th by virtue of the previous decision. So we did a 6-month term on that. And of course it says, or until a replacement director is hired by the board. So you can relieve Mr. Johnson's contract upon hiring a replacement. Related to that is the no cause removal. A lot of contracts have a for cause and a no cause. The for cause is still the same. If you have a cause, you would give 30 days notice, and then you would be terminated without any further compensation if it were for cause. That's all standard and has remained the same in this contract. What we did with the no cause is the board would vote to have a no cause termination, anticipating this to be the replacement, and the severance was reduced down to just a 2-week severance at that point. So he would just get his next paycheck, because obviously we anticipate that probably does happen. Then as far as terms, we based the compensation on $170,000 annual salary. Of course, anticipating that to be within the guidelines of the executive director's current pay versus what we were going to offer the new position. I think we're squarely within those guidelines. He's not eligible for retirement because he's been out of the system for greater than 12 months. So the contract just says he's not eligible for any of the benefits to accrue here within the system. A lot of things you'll see here, we try to do it the most simple way because he's just going to be here for 6 months, so not getting back in the retirement system. We also confirmed with HR that nothing he does here will impair his rights into the retirement system, or he doesn't have to do anything to alter them or anything along those lines. Rather than deal with the vehicle issue, he's going to use his own vehicle, but we're giving him a $400 vehicle allowance rather than him taking on an ECA vehicle and those things.
Is that a month? 400?
Per month, I'm sorry, per month. And then the only other issue was insurance. again, rather than deal with the enrollment and so forth, he's going to stay on his own insurance. We're going to give him a $300 stipend per month for insurance, which would be not actually as much as we'd pay if he was in our system. So, but he found that to be acceptable given his insurance situation at the time. So those would be the terms of compensation with regard to the automobile stipend and the insurance stipend are the only two stipends. Other than that, the only other benefit to Mr. Johnson would be the use of the cell phone for the ECUA cell phone. With that, the only concern I have today, so that is the material terms of the contract. Not much else in the contract other than what we just talked about. The only concern I have is something I've run into since this time is that the contract is with him as interim executive director. And I just asked the board to consider whether or not we need the interim terminology as it relates to his title. It might be better for the board, to the extent that he's going to be executing contracts and easements and all of the things we need to do in the next 6 months, to just drop the interim word and just make him the executive director for 6 months. So we don't have a scenario where the validity of his authority is being questioned. I don't know that you need to change that in the contract. He is called the interim throughout the contract. I could go in and just remove the word interim. I think the period itself speaks for the interim nature of the job. So that's my only suggestion, having read it a couple times. And I've actually encountered a couple contractual questions in the interim period where the question is he the executive director or is he the interim? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Do we have a motion? Dr. Walker?
I move that we approve the contract prepared by Mr. Beasley to employ Bill Johnson as our executive director for 6 months,
So you-
for a period up to 6 months.
Okay, so thereby changing the wording from interim until that. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, we're voting on the proposed contract for our executive director. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. Mr. Sorrell, does this sort of feel like you're presiding over the nuptials of your ex-wife?
Not at all. But anyway, this wouldn't be near as expensive. One thing I wanted to mention, ma'am, is Bill mentioned to Mr. Beasley that he wanted to start as quickly as possible. Now, I'm going to be here until Thursday. Today's Tuesday. If you want, if we can get Bill, I'd be more than happy to have him come in Wednesday and Thursday. And if he does, we'll, and if it's okay with the board, we'll have him, or I'll have him, myself, and probably Mr. Beasley, meet with every single department director and go over everything that's going on so Bill will have a reasonable knowledge of what's been happening. He's been gone, what, a year or 2 years now, so it's been a while. He certainly knows engineering as well as anybody in the building. But there are a lot of other things that are taking place, and from a legal perspective, human resources, customer service, finance, and those kind of things. And I think it would benefit him if he wants to come in. I'm not sure we need to get a hold of him if that's acceptable with the board, but I think it'd certainly help him a great deal because there's an awful lot that is going to be new to him. And I'd be more than happy to help him. He's a good guy.
Well, and thank you for your willingness. I think by assent, we would all like to see that happen. Anyone else on the board have any comments? Dr. Walker?
Well, I don't think I know I haven't taken an occasion yet to publicly thank Mr. Sorrell for all that he's done for us. It's been I wasn't here the entire 17 years, but the years I have worked with him, he's been a great executive director. I couldn't ask for anyone better, and I just have a glowing opinion of him. Steve, thank you very much for all that you've done. I think you've kept us progressive. You've kept us honest. Integrity has been there. Everything that we want to see in an organization, I think, has been there. And a lot of it starts or ends with the executive director. Thank you, Steve.
So, Steve, how many board members have you had? Not, is it 9? I was trying to count up. That's for 15 years. Okay.
Well, I had
These-
Mr. Watson, remember old George Watson?
George Watson.
He was so tight, he squeaked, but he was a great guy. He was turned to be a good friend. Mr. Tegenkamp, Mr.
Tegenkamp.
Fink,
Think.
Elizabeth Campbell,
Right. Right. Mr. McCorvey,
and Mr. McCorvey.
and then the rest
Yeah.
of us.
We-
Yeah.
Honestly, the ECUA has been very, very fortunate. They really have, because we've accomplished great things, and I say we, and we have. And none of that would have happened if it wasn't for the people that sit right up at this dais here, because you have to approve virtually everything. Certainly the staff, you've got a staff out here that's second to none. I mean, I think you already know that. We have built up a really, really good group of employees. I remember when I came here, I was quite surprised, let's put it that way. Some of the buildings, I was very surprised at some of the buildings. I wasn't used to that at all. I had second thoughts about that because I was quite taken back by some of the buildings and the condition. And, you know, there were a lot of other things going on. We were at war. The ECUA was at war with DEP at that time. It was a very adversarial relationship, and the same with a lot of the other government agencies. That's all gone away now. I mean, we are the model agency in this entire region now, probably in a great deal of the state of Florida. And the management audit that was done last year, it came right out and said that. I mean, we are the model. Anytime in this area that DEP now wants to say anything about an agency, they always use us as a model that everybody else is supposed to follow. Now, that's good and bad, because a lot of times they give us a harder time than some of the others. They get away with a lot of stuff, but it's okay. But I couldn't ask for a better relationship, a better staff. I've been very, very fortunate with the board. All of us have worked together, and gosh, just look at the things that we've accomplished. I mean, really, look at the buildings. I mean, I say the buildings, but boy, when I came here, they were a mess, and I wasn't real happy about that, to be honest with you, because I came from a place where I had a very, very nice office, and you know, I came here, and I remember we had the meeting over in the building in back that was termite ridden. If you remember, Dr. Walker probably remembers that, but it was termite ridden. The air conditioners didn't work and a bunch of other things. So it was a mess, but we as a collectorate have really turned everything around, and we really have. And this is an organization all of you and all of the staff can be proud of now. I mean, I think I could walk away, and I think Bill could probably come in a couple hours a day, and these people out here, they'd make it run just fine, because they know what they're doing. They're all extremely well qualified. So overall, I just wanted to thank all of you. I want to thank all the past board members, and I want to compliment the staff. I mean, they are really good, as you know, and it's just, I'm going out the door with, you know, it's a bittersweet moment. It really is. I had to really think about it a great deal, but there comes a time in life when you just need to do things for yourself, and that's kind of what I'm going to do. I've got a lady at home that's been beating on me for quite a while to retire, and it's been more than months. It's been quite a while, and you know, I don't really have to work, so that's not the issue. I work because I liked it, because I enjoyed coming to work here, because I enjoyed the staff and the things that we've accomplished, and it was just fun. I mean, it was a fun place to come and a fun place to work, and I appreciate it, and I want to thank everybody. The staff, they're great. The board, they've been great. And, you know, we've always worked things out, and we've served the ratepayers and the citizens of this community extremely well. And my thanks to each and every one of you for that. Thank you.
Well, I think you leave many legacies, but I think probably the one accomplishment beyond the new sewage treatment plant and all of those things is your succession planning and tapping talented people so that we can be seamless. And it takes real leadership to do that, so we appreciate it. I was also reflecting on the limited number of board members, which says that we're very, very stable. And it occurred to me that the only way to get off this board is either to die or to run against somebody named Campbell. But anyway, thank you. I see no more lights, so.
I was
yes.
going to say some
Yes.
nice things at the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, but we got a little bit of time, so I'll just, real quick. I have really enjoyed working with Mr. Sorrell. I mean, you know, the thing that I appreciate more than anything is that when I call with a customer service issue or constituent issue, it gets addressed right away. And I know that, you know, sometimes the employees and stuff might be disgruntled about that, or damn, Perkins, I gotta go do this or something. But to me, it's nice to be able to get results for the citizens I represent when they are in a crisis. I mean, if they don't have water and it's the weekend, it's a crisis, you know, and so they need that. And I really, really appreciate the attentiveness to those type of needs. The other thing I really appreciate, and I don't know what the average job expectancy is for a CEO in a governmental entity, but I would suspect that it's probably 4 or 5 years max. Well, it's 3 is what he says, because a political environment's a rough environment. There's a lot going on, and you know you're always kind of got the sword of Damocles hanging over your head in that type of position. And so, you know, to be here 17 years speaks to a lot of things, and more so than stability is integrity. And I think that it's not only what we have done as far as, you know, the Main Street sewage treatment plant, the North Hill tank that protects all of downtown in the event of any kind of catastrophic failure with that line or that new treatment plant, a regional recycling facility in economic times that don't permit that anywhere else, and every single governmental agency around here, the only reason they're able to recycle is because of our recycling facility. There would be no recycling from Mississippi to Panama City if it wasn't for us and the leadership that was provided. And that was a touchy one, you know, because it's like, boy, this is a big economic decision here. But we stepped up and did that. We're upgrading technology. But I think what I appreciate more so than the stuff we've done is the stuff we haven't done. We have not had a bunch of good old boys in here lining their pockets, getting special privileges and getting special favors. And I know the board has a lot to do with that, but the executive director deals day to day with those pressures, with those constant pressures for people to take a shortcut or get some extra money or get that contract or get their uncle a job or get their brother a job who's not qualified. And so the things that we haven't done as a governmental agency are just as important as the things that we have done. So I thank you, Mr. Sorrell, for your 17 years of integrity and service to the organization and to the people of this area.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Ms. Campbell?
I get to go last, and I'm still mad at him. He promised when I came that he would stay as long as I stayed, and I'm still here and you're leaving, so that's not good. No, I'd just like to say that, you know, you hear complaints before you come to an organization, and one of the complaints I heard is, Steve only works 4 days a week. And I want to tell you that I have called Steve at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, and he picks up that phone, the very first phone call. So, and if he doesn't pick it up, he calls back within like 10 minutes. So he works 24/7 and has for the entire 6 years that I've been here. And I appreciate that, because like Dale says, when somebody starts asking you for answers, they want them immediately, and you don't know the answer, and you don't want to give the wrong answer. It's nice to be able to just pick up the phone and call Steve and get that answer immediately. And I have worked for Fortune 300 companies that don't have near the succession rate that the ECUA has. I was amazed that we had 5 department heads in the last 6 years that I've been here change out, and not one time did anybody in the entire organization or the board or anybody that we do business with miss a beat. Nobody missed a beat. And that is a testament to your work. And succession is a very hard thing to build with a company of 600, and I call it a company because it's a company of 600 people, and you have done a fine job of that, very fine job. Even has a successor for himself, so I think that's a testament itself for what you've done here. I hate that I didn't see the whole 17 years.
Thank you, board members, and we do come to open forum. Do we have anyone? Okay, then the open forum is closed, and this special meeting is adjourned.